rule whenever another judge calls me on an issue, I try to call them back immediately, but that's what I wish I had back. All right, I'm sorry for the delay. I guess we have everybody here, all the inmates. Okay. So let me call the case, if I might, for announcements. We have State of Texas versus Joe Villanueva, 20 FC 3934G. And we have 21 FC 3314F, State of Texas versus Gabino Maldonado. And I think Mr. Maldonado may have other cases, but that's what I thought. On those cause numbers, we have representing those two individuals for the
I'm so happy to say I was subpoenaed in this matter yesterday. I was released from that subpoena and no longer anticipated as a possible witness in this matter. And thereby don't think there's any objection in my opinion is
picture notice for its own file. I guess procedural purposes, my recollection many moons ago, these motions were filed and presented to Judge Klein under the procedure contemplated by 18A and 18B. She voluntarily refused the regional prime presiding judge, Missy Murray, who assigned me sometime ago. Conflicts, vacation issues, I guess, whatever the case may be. But it has been some time to get these cases set for trial. So we're here today. I've been assigned to rule on the motion to recuse in each of those cases. And I'll entertain any evidence or arguments the state or the defendants may have at defendant's counsel. For the record, I have reviewed everything that has been emailed to me, amended motions, other motions. So, Mr. Chancellor, I guess your motion, you may proceed.
My name is Ira Miller. I represent a subpoena witness, Jenny Dorsey. Your Honor, I filed a motion to quash and for protection of this person. I was wondering if the court wanted to hear that now, if the court wanted to hear it.
Waiting time to call a second. I'll let you come back.
Can I be excused to 1:30 then, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Some of the witnesses outside, we have a cast of thousands here standing, waiting to be recognized. So, I guess it's your turn, sir. What do you got?
Good morning, Your Honor. Luis Garcia, I represent Hope Beamster. He has also been subpoenaed. We filed a motion to quash and protect him as well. I don't know if I have the lineup.
Okay, you'll stand by. We are going to invoke the rule apparently, so any witnesses in the courtroom or outside, they can come in.
Yes, Victoria Means, I'm a licensed attorney. I am representing myself as a subpoenaed witness and the power motion protective order. Part of it includes the fact that I'm on vacation this week and scheduled vacation this afternoon.
Folks out in the gallery too, or this, who else?
Morning, Your Honor. Eric Perkins. I'm an attorney as well. I am here pro se. I was placed under subpoena. I have not filed a motion to quash, but I understand that there's been some talk about perhaps releasing me from that subpoena. So I just wanted to bring that present.
Okay, sir, you're released. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Scott Ellis, and I represent a witness, Alicia Brooks, court reporter. I have a federal hearing at 10 o'clock. If I can be excused, then I'll return after I finish my federal hearing.
I already talked to you about acknowledge that. And that's why I'm like, let me get this, since we've got these various folks coming in, what is our time announcement? I think it's going to be the first testimony from the 2000. Okay, well, we should take a short break. I got 1 day for this. I'm picking a jury in Real County on the Mountain Capital on Monday. So we got to finish it one way or another today. So if you've been told to come back, be here on time at 1:30. If you we don't wait on anybody. Okay, those individuals that are here who I guess may be potential witnesses. Let's put it this way: anybody that is not a potential witness, counsel. So let's start over on this side. Give me your name, sir.
Captain Patrick McMenamy for the police department.
Chief Deputy David Pruitt, Sheriff's Office.
John Flint, attorney.
Holt Feemster, attorney.
Jared Perkins, attorney.
Doug Norman, attorney.
Jimmy Solis, bailiff.
Brandy Beatty, witness. Alicia Brooks, court. Leanne Geddes, chief deputy for the district clerk's office.
Ray Garcia, 214 Fort Mac.
Julie Garrett, Human Resources Director.
Jenny Dorsey, attorney. Valerie Simon, court.
Okay, would each of you raise your right hand, please? Anybody else?
Annette Boutte, sheriff's office.
Anybody else?
Victoria Louise, attorney.
Anybody else? Going once. Hearing none. Everybody raise your right hand. Again, each of you solemnly swear to affirm that the evidence in the testimony you're giving these causes will be the truth, so help you God. Rules been invoked. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that, but please do not discuss the case with anybody other than the lawyers until the case is over and you are released from the subpoena. That includes sitting outside with other witnesses. Don't discuss evidence you've given in court or anticipate giving until you're released from the subpoena. So who's the first witness?
That's just gonna be a net, okay, but Judge, I wanna, we reached an agreement on 2 other witnesses. We just testified another hearing. So, sequence in that, amendment, and also just for.
I guess those two people, if you took the oath, they're gonna be released, is that what you're telling me? All right, so those individuals are released and no longer subject. Your first witness. All right, everybody else have a seat outside, we'll call you, thank you very much. Okay, you were previously sworn, you may proceed.
So you state your name?
Annette Boutte.
How are you doing today?
I work for the Nueces County Sheriff's Department.
And I'm gonna bring you back to 2017. Were you working for the county as well?
Yes, sir.
What was your capacity in 2017 for the county?
I was the public works project manager,
Okay, what did that do?
troubleshooting issues with the Nueces County Courthouse, medical examiner, juvenile jail. Anything needed to be repaired, replaced, or upgraded.
And so there's an exhibit in front of you, Jan, may I push you?
Yes.
Exhibit in front of you. Reference to H. Are you familiar with the content?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you tell us what that is?
It is an invoice for computers, surveillance equipment, and it's for the district and county courts of law.
And could I be correct, say that that is a standalone unit? In other words, it's a camera, monitor,
That is correct.
And that is not connected to any kind of security system at the courthouse, right?
No, sir, it's not connected to anything. It's standalone.
And was one of those systems placed in the 214th district court?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And would that be Judge Klein's court?
I believe so. Yes.
And just for purposes of the record, the camera itself is located in the courtroom, is that correct?
That is correct.
And the monitor is located where?
The monitor is generally sitting on the desk next to the court manager.
And the DVR, that device is also located in the court manager's office? Right?
Correct. Usually the monitor is sitting on top of the DVR.
And does that DVR have the capacity to record events?
Absolutely.
And in this situation, I'm going to take you back to November 15th. Did you get a call or an email concerning the operation of a camera in the 214th District Court?
I received a call from the Judge Klein's court manager in my presence.
And what was the purpose of you going to Judge Klein's court manager?
The question was regarding the an operating system of the camera and recording device, how to stop it from recording.
And so was the recording device recording the events in the courtroom?
Yes,
And did you show him how to turn off that recording device?
yes.
And what did you have to do to turn it off?
Move the mouse, which is attached, of course, to the actual system, and it would do a drop down and it'll have stop recording on an instruction.
And so would you say it was fairly simple?
Absolutely.
And let me ask you, in regards to that, if I'm a district judge or a coordinator for a district judge, and I have a computer issue or concern, whom do I direct my questions to?
Okay, so that's where it comes into question. The computer systems themselves that the courts work with and setting their dockets and things of that nature generally go through our IT department. The actual systems that are standalone that monitor the courtroom, those were purchased through a capital outlay request, and those systems are controlled by the court and the court alone, so the court manager. So if they had a question on operations, they would need to reach out to the Public Works Department, who actually initiated the purchase and then the receiving and the installation, to find out from the person that installed it what the procedures are. But generally, when they were installed, they were taught.
So let's assume I wasn't taught, but I have a question about the operation of that equipment or concern. Can I call Public Works and they can kind of direct me to who is the right person to get in contact with?
Since I don't work for Public Works anymore, I would say yes, you should be able to contact Public Works and be directed in the right direction.
So it's no big secret. If I need the help, I can find it.
Correct.
And so Public Works and IT are at the disposal of all district judges at all times.
Yes.
In 2017 through November 16, 2021, did you ever get a request from Judge Klein or any member of her staff concerning the recording or the recording capacity of this system?
No, sir, I did not.
To your knowledge, has any other district judge in this courthouse ever had a problem recording jury deliberations? In 2021, it was COVID. It was kind of a COVID period, is that correct? And there was certain precautions taken with COVID, correct?
Correct.
So would I be correct to say that all jury deliberations then, because of the spacing, occurred in the courtroom and not in the jury room? And so in November 2021, concerning this jury trial, that would be the same instance, that all jury deliberations occurred in the judge's courtroom, correct?
That would be my understanding.
Had the bailiff of the court United States ever called and asked for assistance concerning the recording of events in the court? Did you know that they were recording jury trials in the court?
Should we subject to recall or not? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next one.
Did that call Josh Howard?
Yes, you were someone with the other.
Would you state your name?
Josh Howard,
Mr. Howard, what kind of work do you do?
general IT, computer repair, telecommunications, also.
How long have you been doing that? I'm gonna direct your attention to, Friday, last Friday. If you have the opportunity to go to the 214th District Court to analyze a DVR,
Yes,
and were you given access to that DVR?
yes,
And when you got there, was the DVR in operations?
it was not on, no, sir.
It was not plugged in, it was not operating, right?
Not at the time.
And where was that DVR located?
In the court management office.
And then the court manager's office, did it also have a monitor there?
Yes, sir.
Was the cabling hooked up to the camera in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
So when you turned on the monitor, could you see what was happening in the courtroom?
No, sir.
So when you turned on the monitor, did you try to obtain certain history of the videos recorded from November 3rd, 2021 to November 16th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
And were you able specifically to gather the recordings of November 9 to November 10, 2020?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to download that and make a copy of that?
Yes, sir.
And then additionally, did you go back Monday, this last Monday, the 1st of August, and again, access the same DVR and gather the video and audio of events that were recorded on November 15th and November 16th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
And did you provide me with a copy of those videos as well as the videos on November 9th and 10th?
Everything that was downloaded was provided.
And did you have a chance to look at any of those?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that. Did the videos have audio?
Yes.
And could you hear clearly? On the 9th and the 10th, did you have a chance to look at some of those videos? And then those videos reflect a jury deliberation case.
Yes, sir.
And could you hear what the jury deliberation, what they were talking about?
Yes.
Was it clear?
Yes.
And to kind of describe the setup, would the setup be that it was kind of the jurors are in the back of the courtroom and not in what we call the well, the center of the courtroom? Is that correct?
That's accurate.
And on the video and the audio it also pick up some of the audio coming out of the judge's chambers?
That sounds accurate, yes.
And did it also pick up some of the audio coming out of the standard jury room, what we normally do?
Yes.
When you, when we looked at the video, did I ask you to make certain cuts? In other words, try to reduce it to the issues that were concerned with this?
It was kind of, yes, certain clips, yes.
Because you have 8 hours or 9 hours worth of video, so we try to cut it down to just 15 minutes, 20 minutes of what was relevant, correct? And let's talk about those cuts. Did one cut show the jury casting the vote? And I want to say on November 9th in the afternoon, where voted 6-6. And subsequently, did you, the next day, did you hear and witness the jurors casting their vote again, trying to reach a verdict, and the vote was 9-3? Remember that?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And then subsequently that afternoon, the jury reached a verdict and they all voted 12-0, correct? And when the jury voted on all 3 of those occasions, each time you could hear them, correct?
Yes.
And you could see them raise their hand.
Yes.
And so that's how you knew, if you didn't have the audio, that's how you knew what the vote was, right? 6-6 or 9-3, correct? You might not know which way they're going, but you know the split, right?
Yes.
And the audio and video information you provided me, did you alter or change them or manipulate them in any way? So on exhibit Q, the thumb drive containing all the jury deliberations on November 9th to the 10th, 2021, in the case State versus Derek Potter, all those were accurate and not modified, correct?
I don't know. Media, I don't know what they do here. Media stuff. Anybody know what the local customer practice is?
On media, judge, it's purely within the discretion of the court. It's purely lower decision if you're gonna allow media in or not, whether you allow cameras or just the presence of the reporters. It's 100% up to it.
My recollection when we did that, Williams case, they were in here. So, yeah. It's not out there. Something connected.
And I'll bring the witness, judge,
Yeah, let's go. There's a witness that showed up late. Let's go ahead and put a record rule and then we'll.
and judge normally, they'll set up in that corner, for any loss of court decision.
I'll let the record move there. I appreciate that. Do we have a number to fill in on that motion?
I feel that the biggest thing is,
In the interest of time. Senior.
you know, there was a lot more.
Typically, I would not give a blank check, but in the interest of time, because it is one of
You can trust me,
reasonable.
and if it doesn't work out, Lisa Harris said she's paying.
Did you give us your name? Please?
I'm Dr. Nancy Betta, P as in Victory, ERA.
All right, thank you for being here. Would you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear the evidence this testimony you give follow the truth, so help you God. The rules of the court, you're probably familiar with, it. Please don't discuss the case with anyone other than the lawyer.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Let's see outside, thank you.
Probably have.
What time?
2:33.
Okay, good, good.
I also at this time, really good,
state's belief is already been reviewed with the evidence. So, the state is within.
On that,
Okay, so this is admitted, the others are admitted pursuant to my ruling that because of the statute, will be in camera review. Thank you, sir. You're excused, not subject to recall.
but at this time, I'd offer, since exhibits A through N, which is marked in the provided the state and the state.
Okay, then,
And we'd also offer O and P, which is the re-stipulation of facts that Steve and I agreed to, which kind of designates what was viewed on November 9th and 10th of the jury deliberations. There, also what was viewed on P of the November 15th, 2021 jury trial.
Objection, I'd say to,
Ray Garcia, his lawyer.
okay, Mr. Garcia,
I want to go, Your Honor.
please. Garcia, come on up. Have a seat, witness stand, and we'll pick up this motion.
Your Honor, it's not so much a motion in that just informing the court that Mr. Garcia will be playing the fifth to Mr. Shams's questions. And I'm advising the court that that's going to be his response to questioning by Mr. Shams.
Your Honor, the state of Texas has filed this morning a motion under seal, which we now wish to take up with the court. The state is granting transactional immunity to Mr. Ray Garcia. The motion has been filed. We believe his testimony is material to the issues the court must take up. We believe that in order for a fair and just outcome to be reached, the information that Mr. Garcia has is clearly relevant. And as a result, we would ask the court to grant transactional immunity to Ray Garcia for any and all possible charges that might arise, any and all issues related to this matter. We detailed in the motion why his testimony is material. It relates directly to jury deliberations. And as the court is aware now, they were recorded. And so we would ask that you sign the order, which has been proffered directly related to Mr. Ray Garcia, granting him transactional immunity and compelling him to answer any and all questions truthfully and honestly.
Okay, there's several witnesses, so I'm gonna order orally that you have grant the immunity asked for by the state. And this does specify transactional, not use.
Yes, it does. And it spells out the only exception is if he commits perjury while testifying before your honor, or if you have to find him in contempt. The only exception.
Well, Your Honor, it's a surprise to me, so I'd at least like to have a moment to speak with Mr. Garcia, but I mean, it sounds like that takes care of the bits and information.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and talk to him.
Sure.
I'm gonna let you, again, there's several folks here listed. I'm gonna, as an officer of the court, you can review it in regard to your client. Please don't discuss it outside the presence of the court.
Sure.
Madam Clerk, Chairman?
Yeah.
Because I want to say my cause.
Here, come on out, let's talk for just a moment. It'll seriously take 2 or 3 minutes to discuss this. Oh, we can use your.
Okay, so for the record, I do have separate orders on the motion listing several witnesses. So I'm going to go ahead and sign that one in regard to Mr. Ray Garcia, Garza slash. Sign. You may proceed.
Will you state your name? Who's the judge there? You understand that the judge, the state's motion. Say, we've known each other for a long time. Right? I hope I've always had fun. So, at any time, when I ask you these questions, if you need time to talk to your lawyers, don't be that. So I'm going to direct your attention specifically as to prior to being a court manager or judge client, what work did you do for the county?
Variety of different issues, but also for the district court.
How long have you been with the county?
Approximately 13.
So you kind of know your way around the system, right? And then, were you a clerk for the 214 district court? How long did you have that on? When did you become judge client? First quarter.
January 1st of 2020.
So that was in the middle of COVID. As a county employee that occupies the position of court coordinator, are you an at-will employee? So she gets to hire and she gets to terminate 4 calls without calls, right? Kind of serve at her pleasure, correct? And as a court coordinator, you some of your job duties are getting jury settings out, hearing settings, kind of organizing the docket, correct? And before the Derek Potter trial, before that murder trial of November 2021, did the court have any other trials that year in the COVID year? Jury trials. And so let's kind of talk about the setup. Because of COVID, we kind of changed where the jurors were deliberating, right? Before, they'd always have kind of like a separate room with a solid wood door, and it's a really small room. That's where they fit 12 people in. And that was a room that was secured, so no one could walk in and out, right? And there was no cameras in there, right? And there was no listening devices, correct? And it was sacred that no one went near that door or that area when a jury is deliberating, right? The bailiff was kind of the person in charge for the court. Your office as a court coordinator, would I be correct, is right next to the judge's office, right? Judge's chamber, I'm sorry. And so in order to get into the judge's chambers, you had to walk through your office to get there. Is that correct?
Yes and no.
Okay, so you can go through the courtroom. She has a door where she exits or he exits out into the courtroom. But if you're not in the courtroom and you wanted to go visit the judge in chambers, the other option is to go down the hallway through your office and into a door that leads into her chamber. Right? So the both rooms adjoin, the chamber and your office, correct?
Correct.
And would you agree with me that your office is a smaller office, maybe 11 by 12, something like that? And in your office, you have a desk, shelves, monitors. Right? Yes. Okay, so how many people can sit down in your office? How many chairs are there?
Currently, we have
So comfortably, maybe 3 or 4 people, besides yourself, to sit in that area.
Sitting, yes.
When they changed from having the jury trial for the COVID from the jury room into the big courtroom, right? There were certain precautions that were taking place in order to have a trial, right, with COVID, right? Social distance, everybody had to kind of be away and spread out, and that's why we used the courtroom to deliberate rather than the jury room, correct? Correct. Now, when you use the courtroom to deliberate, or let me be different. When you're in your office and you're doing a normal day's business, you have a camera that has the capacity to hear and see what's happening in the courtroom, correct? Correct. That's the camera, and it's above, right about where the judge sits, and it views out towards the gallery, correct? And if that monitor is on, you can see and hear what's happening in the courtroom, correct? Well, I mean, yeah, but the question is, it has the capacity. If someone wants to look or hear, they can see it, right? And hear it. Yes. Okay. And that is done sometimes so that while the judge is conducting business on the bench, if they need a trial date or they need a hearing date or there's a question, right? She can ask that question and you can hear it and respond immediately, right? Okay, that's security. And that is a very good system because you can see very well. It's a great video and you can hear very clearly, right? I mean, if I'm not in there yelling. Well, if you ever had any difficulty in the past and complained that you couldn't hear what was happening in the court. Yes. And when you had that problem, who did you call or ask for help? Okay, who did you speak to? Got it. You go into the court. Correct. Okay, thank you. I was trying to figure out. Okay, so when they were doing the trial on their the jury trial itself, not the deliberation, but the jury trial itself was being broadcasted into your office, right? You could see what's happening in the courtroom, right? And that video camera system was about a 22-inch screen where that you could see, who's testifying, if they're on break, who's doing the cross or direct examination, those things, right? Don't know the dimension. Yeah. And you could also see the jury in the back listening to the testimony, correct? So the jury trial starts on November 3rd. Do you remember where they did the jury selection? Okay, that's right. And then after the jury is selected, then they go up to your courtroom, those 13 people, right? Because I think you have an alternate on that. Those jurors and the alternate, is it correct that they were placed in the back of the courtroom, kind of spread out? You remember that? Our court set up as the rail part. Okay. And you could see them in your camera when the trial began, right? But you would agree with me, whatever exhibits that we introduced that captured all the jury deliberations, right? You agree with me that that would accurately reflect what you would have seen at the same time, right? Correct. On the camera, what you saw. So let's talk about a little bit of that on the jury deliberations or jury trial. When you tried that case, when your court tried it, that case started on the 3rd of November, which is a Wednesday. And that means that Wednesday there was some testimony, Thursday and Friday there was some testimony. Would that be accurate? Okay, let's do it a little bit easier then. You would agree with me there was about a 3 to 4 day trial, right? 3 or 4 day trial. It is a murder trial, right? Okay. During that 3 or 4 day trial, just the trial itself, would you agree with me that the camera was active and displaying what was happening in the courtroom? And so anyone that walked into your office during those 3 or 4 days, they could see the video monitor and they could see what was happening in the courtroom, right? And that would include the judge, right? Okay. Okay. What I'm saying is that means that the judge walked into your office, you could see the display of what was happening in the courtroom, correct? Correct. And the bailiff could see it, court reporters, defense lawyers. Okay. So let's go to that. During those 3 or 4 days when the trial was going on, the defense lawyers and the prosecutors sometimes wander into your office. And when they wandered in, was it on display? The courtroom, what was happening? All right, so let's go to jury deliberation on that case. The jury deliberation was on full display in your office for the 9th or 10th of November. And so you could see the jurors discussing the case on the camera for those 8 or 9 hours. When was that? Question is, you could view the jury deliberation. And let's talk about it. You name me everyone that walked into your office that saw that jury deliberation. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let me go one up. Did Hope Feebster, the assistant district attorney, did he walk into your office and see that jury deliberation?
See if they saw anything that I can tell you that they were in.
And when the jury was deliberated, right? And was Michael Winnie also in and out of the office when that jury was deliberated? And let's talk about Doug Norman, another assistant district attorney. Was he in that office as well? And the defense lawyers, do you remember them? Okay, what are their names? Remember Ms. Manise, the defense lawyer, did she come in and did she have the capacity to view the jury deliberate? Yes. And how about George Piha? Did he also, defense lawyer, also have a chance to view the jury deliberate? Right. And I know you're saying in and out, but they were in there for many times, right? And what about the bailiff? Was he in and out also? Did he see that? Court reporters. How about court reporters? During those broadcasting of those jury deliberations, did any one of the lawyers, I guess take them one by one, anyone, did George P. Hop say, you know, we shouldn't be displaying that, or that shouldn't be displayed? How about, Hope Feebster, the assistant district attorney, did he say, hey, you shouldn't be watching? How about, Miss Monique, the other, she said, how about, Michael Winnie, did he say anything? Doug Norman, did he say anything? How about the public reporter, did he say anything? Did up from the sheriff's office, Mr. Cook, was he also in there during that time? So, all the judge's staff never said, all the lawyers involved never said it. Correct? Okay, let's talk about the judge. Should Judge Klein come out and say, turn that off? Did she say turn that off on November 9th? How about November 10th, that whole day? Did she ever say turn it off? Did she tell any of the lawyers to leave your office while that jury was deliberating so they couldn't see it? Did she tell you to turn the monitor off? Now, did she express any concern that that deliberation was being broadcasted in your office? Not to you. Yes, I- So let's talk about recording of it. You would agree with me that your office knew for some time that that machine records everything in the department, correct? But you knew it was broadcasting and you knew there were some concerns about recording. Right. So if it had playback capabilities, it had to be able to record, right? Did y'all ever have any conversations about concerns of recording prior jurors or prior hearings? Okay, and when we had concerns, who were that? Who were they? You said we had concerns. So current data. This is system or functioning or whatever it may be. And so check on the system. Yeah. So you knew it was recorded. You just didn't know to what capacity. Correct. You don't know if it records 30 days, 10 days, anything like that, correct? But you knew a jury trial was taking place, right? And you knew the jury was being recorded on this DVR, right? Okay. And in that regard, let me ask you, did anyone, the judge, you, Jimmy, or the reporter express concern that the jurors are being observed and that their deliberations are being recorded? Now, through the whole time of these deliberations, the judge never said a word to you or anyone else about the display of the deliberations, correct? And you're kind of her go-to person, right? I mean, you run the show. Subject to her. Yes, correct. So. Let me ask you a quick question. Were you in the room when those jurors voted? They voted 2 times. I'm going to tell you this. Record reflects they voted 3 times. Were you in the room when they voted the first time? Okay. And so I'm gonna represent to you that the jurors know, none of them tell the split of how the jury voted. None of them told it like they'd say, you know, we can't meet the verdict, but they wouldn't say it's 6-6, 9-3. Okay. So would you know how the assistant district attorney found out that the jury was split 6-6 or 9-3? Were you ever there when the judge and the other defense lawyers and the DAs observed the monitor together? Right, but the monitor is in your office, right? And so the question is, while you're in your office, did the judge and defense lawyers and prosecutor or prosecutors gather around to watch the monitor? Okay. So when they're in their office, the judge and those defense lawyers and the prosecutors, what were they talking about? Do you remember that? So you don't remember them discussing watching the monitor or anything like that? So you're not saying they didn't watch the monitor, you just don't recall that, right? Now, I'm going to show you. Read that. And would that be it? Email Judge Klein, the judge, Canales, Barbara Canales, county judge, on November 15th at 4:13 p.m. Read it to yourself. So let's go to the second line. When she says, tell Judge Canales that the jury were deliberating in the district courtrooms, and we were made aware earlier today that the deliberations may be recorded. Right? Okay. But your office, you already knew that that device was recording what was happening in the courtroom, right? Right. Did you ever play back before? Did Jimmy ever do it? Well, let's go to this fact. Where she says that she tried numerous attempts to find out who maintains and operates the system. But you already knew that there was a problem and no one inquired as to solving the problem before the jury deliberated, right?
Besides the scenario I told you from.
Right.
No, that's the scenario that you told.
But things have changed because of COVID, and so you were using the courtroom, and so everyone knew that system was broadcasting it into your office and it's being recorded, right? Right. And then, right before that, you sent an email to David Stitt, Judge Stitt, that said, I found out today it's possible that everything being said in the courtroom may be recorded. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, it means jury deliberation, which since COVID has started taking place in the courtroom, may also be, right? See that? Okay. Well, would you agree with me that I found out today that it's possible to be recorded, that that is not a truthful statement? Because you already knew that it was possible that it was being recorded, right? And who had been in the courtroom longer, you or Judge Conn? Right. Now, let me ask you, on both of these emails, did you see any word mentioned about viewing the jury deliberation? So the only thing she addressed was the recording of it, but not the actual observation of it. Right? Or did she ever ask you to send an email saying, hey, we're also concerned that we are displaying this event to everyone? Did she ever send that? You know, Daryl used to be with county. Okay. Have you seen this email before where he wrote this? And that would say that the system is working fine and it's quite simple. One camera, one DVR, and one monitor on top of the DVR, right? Everything. And they are not networked into any courthouse. Did Judge Conn ever tell you what's wrong with the system? It's faulty. Did you ever- You see this email from Judge Canales, to the IT person, Daryl Everett, that she had talked to Judge Conn, and Judge Conn stated that the video equipment is faulty. Did you ever know that that was Judge Conn's position at one time, that the equipment was faulty? The system was shut down, right? It was removed. Closed down after November 16th, shut it down. And when you had those ongoing issues, at any time, was that information provided to any of the defense lawyers that there might have been some recording of the jury deliberations? You know that- let's talk about the motion for continuance on Joe Villanueva that was filed by Ms. Harris on his behalf. Do you remember that? Okay, do you remember the motion where she emailed it to you? I'm gonna ask you to look under D. I'm not looking. Receiving an email from asking that you present this motion to the judge because it contains a request about the video camera. Right. So we don't have to do it in the program. We do it discreetly. That way, try to get the evidence from the state as to what happened on the jury recording, correct? Have you had a chance to review any of the jury videos from any of the jury's delivery? So let me ask you this, after all this to do about recording the jurors, did Judge Klein ever express to you what her position was? Was it an accident recording them? Did she know that they were being recorded? Did she look at the votes? What did she tell you? So let me ask you this, when she said what's going on here, that would be that Monday after the state motion for continuance and then subsequently a motion. And that's when the judge said, what's going on, right? And she didn't say, I thought we solved that problem in the past about recording. She didn't say anything like that. She didn't say, were y'all watching the deliberations? Did she ask you that? Did she say, is it true that Hope Finster and the other defense lawyers were watching the jury deliberations? Did she ask you that question? Did she say, why were those lawyers in the court coordinator's office, your office, while the jury was deliberating and the jury deliberations being broadcast? Did she ask you that? Did she ask you, why didn't you tell me that they were broadcasting the jury deliberations? Did she ask you that question? Well, I don't want to talk about the recording. Let's talk about the broadcasting. Did she ever ask you any questions relating to viewing a broadcast? Right? Let's not mix the two. But you and I would agree that it wasn't a tech glitch or a technical problem because y'all knew for over a year that they had recording capacity. Right? You knew that. So it's no big surprise that it was being recorded, right? No. And since Jimmy was there for a long time, no big surprise to him, right? And let me ask you, jury deliberation, not supposed to watch them, not supposed to listen to them, right? Okay, so if you're listening to them, that's wrong, right? Why? Thank you. And if you're watching them, is that wrong? Why? Because you can get out a lot of information from watching the jury on how they conduct themselves or how they interact or what the votes are. Well, you get to watch how they vote, right? So you're gonna know how they're named. Ray, so I'm gonna ask you, is it your testimony that you never observed the judge watch the monitor that was displaying the jury deliberation? Were you faced towards your machine and the people in the back, potentially watching the monitor? Right. And so she could be sitting in her chair and watching the monitor, right? Okay. And the same with the lawyer, they could be standing up and watching the monitor, right? Would it surprise you that on November 15th, before the court heard the state's motion for continuance at about 8:20, there was an audio and video recording of the bailiff and the two defense lawyers discussing the bailiff and the court knew over years that they had this problem recording the jury, and that the defense lawyers acknowledged that they sat in the room and watched it. Does that surprise you? Well, let me ask you, if they're sitting in the room and watching it, and they have admitted to that, you're telling this judge that you have no knowledge of any of the lawyers watching the broadcast. But when 4 or 5 people gather in a small area like you're in, would you say it's kind of unusual for defense lawyers and no. So they would wait a jury out in your room? I agree with that. But would it be unusual for those 2 defense lawyers and those 2 prosecutors, and eventually 3 prosecutors, wait out a jury verdict while it's being broadcasted in Europe? We're talking about what?
A small sample size now.
My question, right, is you agree with me that all those lawyers, defense lawyers and prosecutors gathered in your office while those were deliberating and it was being broadcast? And that would include the judge. That would include the judge. judge would also have the ability to view it, correct? Do any of those lawyers? Come and tell you or the bailiff. No Teamster ever come and tell you, you know what, and however, and I just filed this. I didn't do this. Did they ever? Did whoever tell you? Michael Mooney, did he ever come and tell you, you know what, they put my name in that motion and I didn't see that, did he ever say that?
So are we to then have an understanding that the prior trial, the jury deliberations were also being broadcast? Well, if no one knew how to operate the system, apparently, then the logical answer is that this was not the first time during the Derek Potter case that the 214 District Court was broadcasting jury deliberations. Is that fair?
So.
Who would be the best person to ask that question? I think so.
Be calling up either side.
I'll do the same.
Excuse, works from the rules.
Your Honor, I have a motion. I'd like to press forward before this has to be.
Okay.
Wants to talk about questions that either the order had asked. Narrow down what is the current match.
All the conditions regarding that.
So let's get first.
He is.
I'm gonna grant that. We're just gonna take it question by question, yes, but I would like to avoid dismissing this question. We already have the answers. So let's narrow it to anything that is related specifically to what I'm here on, not anything subsequent to this.
I appreciate that. On November 9th, in the afternoon, about 5:30, they voted 6-6. How the case was going, he said they split. Later in the afternoon, I asked him, what's happening with the jury? And he said, it's 9-3, but I'm having a problem with one lady. That was working in the afternoon. They voted 9-3.
Recalls that conversation. I wasn't there, so let's see where it is. I haven't seen it. That's why I'm still good.
Whatever you are, Mr. Shannon.
Let's get to the change. Were you ever in the court coordinator's office on November 9th and November 10th, 2021.
Various different times as important.
And when you were in that office, did you ever observe the jury deliberations being broadcasted on the monitor?
Did I observe them being broadcasted?
Did you see the jury deliberating on the screen that's located in the court coordinator's office?
Are you talking about the security's video that has the courtroom that's in the back corner of the court manager's office and all the court manager's offices in the courthouse? It may have been on, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it.
So the question is, you viewed it, right?
I would say viewing it was good. Sound.
Well, why was it important not to have sound?
Well, no, that's what I'm not controlling it, but I would assume that the sound of audio recording is important. Security purposes, they're having the jury deliberate there. Right. Exception of when they talk to you after the court or when they have questions.
Important that the audio was not on because you could hear them deliberate, right?
I did not hear them deliberate.
The question is, it's important not to have the audio on so that way you do not hear the jury deliberate, correct?
Sure.
So is it important not to have the video on broadcasting the deliberations for visual observation?
Probably. Why you want to have security in there in case something happens. That record needs to be fight for itself. Something like that. Well, there's probably one here.
So let me ask you, and all your other jury trials that you had, you've been practicing about 10 years, right?
I've been practicing since May of 2015. Yes, the last year.
So you've been practicing 7+ years, right?
As I said, my last testimony, my first legal job was in Oasis County on October.
Yeah, I'm gonna object as non-responsive. Simple question, just fine. Practicing a little over 7 years, correct? In any of your other jury trials, has any of the other judges allowed you to watch a jury deliberate?
I've never watched a jury deliberate.
Did any of the other judges allow a display of a jury to be deliberated? Did any of the other judges allow video showing a jury deliberating?
Not that I'm aware of.
So this is the only court that you ever had the opportunity to watch a jury deliberate, correct?
I would say I was not actively watching them, so it's a very question.
So did you have an opportunity to observe the jury deliberate?
I did look on the background, as I said. Most of the time, I was in my own office downstairs, or if I were in the hallway, between the courts, or if I was in the court manager's office, at the time I was sitting chair with his double computer screen was blocking, so I wasn't really seeing it.
So the question is, did you have an opportunity to view the jury deliberate?
It's on the background, so yes, we saw part of it.
So now that we got that down, who is the we that's all part of it? Who's we?
Various people.
Tell me who those various people are.
Well, it was the court manager's office, so it would be Ray Garcia. The bailiffs that were assisting, which is Jimmy Solis and Mr. Gary, was helping out a little bit. Chief David Cook was in there talking to the judge about other stuff. The court reporter at the time was Alicia Brooks, the Hidden Valley sign, but they were both there. Both defense counsel, George Peha, Michael Winnie. Michael Winnie was my co-chair, Victoria Nunez. Two defense attorneys, George Peha, Victoria Nunez. Doug Malone was up there a little bit. There may have been were sheriff's deputies that poked their head in to assist with moving a defendant from the courtroom earlier, but it would have been either the holding cell or somewhere else. They probably assisted moving him from the county jail to the holding cells.
So when you were in there and had the opportunity to view the jury deliberate on the screen, were other defense lawyers in there with you?
As I said just a minute ago, the Victoria Union for feedback were there, so yes.
So yes. And when they were there with you, was there ever an opportunity for Doug Norman to enter that room and observe the jury deliberating on the screen as well?
As I just answered, Mr. Sheen, yes.
Okay, but let's get a little bit tighter on this. So you would agree with me that you, Ms. Muniz, the defense lawyer, Michael Winnie, and George Beha, and Doug Norman were all in that room together, and you watched the jury deliberate.
No,
You had the opportunity to watch the jury deliberate, correct?
it was on the background, as I said, I wasn't really paying that much attention. I don't know how much.
Do you remember a conversation between Ms. Muniz and Mr. Norman, Doug Norman, questioning whether they should be allowed to watch the jury deliberate? Do you remember that conversation?
No, I don't know if I was part of that.
Did Ms. Muniz ever indicate to you that it should not be broadcasted? We shouldn't be watching. Did George Beha ever say, you know, we really should be watching this?
I do not remember.
Did you ever discuss that with the jury observation? Any of your supervisors
During the trial,
subsequent to the trial?
yes, Dr. Hernandez called and asked me about it and asked me several questions about what was going on. Not fully on my attorney filed a show cause motion. Yes.
So that, I mean, that kind of upsets you that you tell her what happened and then she files a show cause.
I am not happy about that. No.
I would be.
I'm not happy about dragging into this either.
I'm not happy out there either. So let's go to this.
Your Honor, I have to say to the side bar that time.
So when you were in that court coordinator's office and the jury deliberations were being displayed, did Judge Klein ever come out of her chambers or ever enter the room?
I think Judge was in there for various different parts, yes.
And when she came out and entered that room, the jury deliberations were still on display, correct?
They were on the background. I'm just waiting until we had a verdict one way or the other.
Right. And when you were waiting to have that verdict, how long did you wait in that court coordinator's office for a verdict?
I don't know how many times I was up there. The first day I was mainly in my office downstairs. And then I had other hearings. The second day, of course, I had to handle my office, hallway, library right next to it. So I wasn't always up there in that court office. When I was, we were just chit-chatting about random stuff.
Okay, so you were chit-chatting, who were you chit-chatting with?
Whoever was in the courtroom, whoever was in the court manager's office at the time, who was there every single minute, every single 2 days.
Do you remember seeing Miss Muniz there often in the court coordinator's office?
As I said earlier, she was there very soon.
So can you give Judge Hall an approximate number, how many times you entered that court coordinator's office?
I cannot give you a approximate number of times throughout the 2 days.
Okay, so let's say with the number 10, would that be a high number or a low number?
I have no idea.
Would 5 be a high number or a low number?
I have no idea.
Would 30 be a high number or low number?
I have no idea.
You don't remember that, right?
I do not remember exactly how many times all the people who were in and out of that office were.
not
other
asking.
people who may have come in to
There's a
hand
whole-
more
just-
stuff, but I don't.
Mr. Commissioner, I'm asking only about you. How many times were you in and out of that office?
I do not know.
And you can't give us an estimate of number of times.
No, I was up and down in my office. I'd be up there, I might be over an hour, come back down, like 5 minutes to go somewhere. Waiting for a bird.
And when you did glance at that screen, study it a little bit, did you see the juror on the display of them in the back of the courtroom deliberating?
I don't.
And when you were just sitting in that court coordinator's office waiting for that jury verdict, how often do you think you glanced over at that screen?
Couple times, maybe. I don't know.
So you would agree with me that you saw the jury deliberate, right?
I saw them on the screen. I don't know if they're delivering that time. They could talk about what they're making for lunch.
Well, we shouldn't listen to what they're saying, right? We agree with that.
Yes.
And we shouldn't watch them when they're deliberating.
See how with the situation that it was, it's unique. I'm walking down the hallway of the courtroom. You may have done it, not even realized.
But you had a camera and a special view that no one else had in that court coordinator's office, right?
No. I did not personally have a camera.
You had a camera to view that gave you a special view of the jury
It
deliberation.
was the same security system that's set up in all 12 courtrooms in this courthouse, probably 14 to count this one right for.
And so can you tell the good judge here, that you know so much about these cameras, how those 14 district and county court judges, how many others had a problem recording the jury?
I honestly can't answer that. I don't know.
So before we drag in all the other judges and try to poison them, you have no knowledge of any other judge doing this kind of nonsense, right?
I wanted to see if I could get a ruling in regards to what relevant information the Shanty.
No. Recording. Did you ever contact the judge or the DA's office, Mr. Gonzalez, and Hernandez, and deny that you did not view the jury deliberation?
That question.
Did you ever deny viewing the jury deliberations to Angelica Hernandez, Doug Norman, to Mark Gonzalez,
Also still at the office. I don't respond. Ms. Hernandez did call me Sunday evening around 10:30, the day before we supposed to have lunch. Possession of firearm by a felon charge, and asked me questions in regard to what was it.
so the answer is you never denied viewing the jury.
I guess I take issue with the way you're describing viewing this, and implying by that. I was not paying accurate attention to it. I wasn't taking notes, forming arguments, which is on the background. When I first noticed it, I believe Mr. Ray Garcia said to you, it's like, okay, my view is I'm not going to tell a judge how to handle what's in her office at that time. It's not my place to do it. I don't think you liked it when you were a judge, so it's like you had it on your office. I'm not telling the city judge how to do it. The response would probably be noted. I get it on my office.
So now that we got that discussion out. So you and Ray had a discussion about it being displayed, but it was muted.
I I did not have a discussion. He just made that comment. I didn't ask or say anything.
Because you were watching it and it was muted, right?
I was not watching it. It was on the background.
The back, so it's just for your convenience or anyone else's convenience to watch it, right?
No, it was just on the background.
And so Ray knew it was being broadcasted, correct?
That was in substance of that comment.
You knew
Sitting
it,
right next to it.
you knew it was being broadcasted, right?
Broadcast makes it sound like it's being submitted to the public or on TV. It's a security surveillance video that's only monitored. It's hooked up to.
So if it's displaying what's happening in the courtroom into a different room, let's assume that's called broadcast. So you knew it was happening, Ray knew it was happening, every defense lawyer knew it was happening, correct?
That's true. That's true.
On the
Okay, so
audio,
the entire
yeah.
defense.
No, in the defense bar, I've never known anyone else to do this nonsense. Did anybody else, other than the judge, those few lawyers and the judge's staff know this was going on? You knew it, right?
People
You knew it, right? You knew it. I'm asking you, did you know it was broadcast?
Objection. Allow the witness to answer.
I was aware that it was on the background for the petition. I don't know how many times you want me to say that. Well, I had no control over turning on or off.
That's right. That's what I want to get to. Who has control to turn it on or off? The judge, right?
Or the court manager.
Right.
I don't see how this is relevant to whatever we're here for, Mr. James.
Oh, we're here to disqualify the judge by her conduct. That's why that's part of it. Yeah. So you also had the ability not to enter that room at all once you knew that it would be displayed, right? You could have went and waited for the jury downstairs or in a different room, right?
As I testified a minute ago, I was in my office for a large portion. Part of the issue is when we have notes in the jury, we're in the judge's chambers, or because of the amount of people involved, and we have 4 attorneys, a court reporter, and the bailiff, and the judge, it's easier to court manager's office sometimes because it's more chair.
That's what I want to do. Only one note, the first note, was done in the judge's chamber.
I don't know if it was just one of the first 2. I don't know.
I'm going to represent you that the court reporter provided us the first note on November 9th, reflecting that those all the other notes, your testimony was done in part in the court coordinator's office, correct?
That's not my test. I don't remember how many were done in the chamber. 3 and just more. I don't know.
The rest
One of
was,
those 2 locations.
okay. And then those locations, when y'all were discussing the other jury notes in the court coordinator's office, the judge was there, defense lawyers, prosecutors were there, right?
Correct.
And when that was occurring, it was still broadcasting the jury deliberations, correct?
It was on the background for 15 times.
Let me ask you 16 times. Did the judge ever say, turn that off when you guys were talking about the jury notes? Did you ever say that?
I don't remember anything.
Let's go to the jury vote. Did you ever see the jury vote?
I do not remember if they were voting on what they were doing. So like I said,
The question is, did you ever see the jury vote?
I don't know if they were voting.
Did you ever see the jurors raise their hand and then put them down? And some other jurors raise their hand and put them down?
I don't remember. Maybe I honestly don't remember.
Okay, we'll go with the maybe. How many times did you see that?
I do not remember.
But you would agree with me that that's like a really big deal. If you saw the jurors, some of them raise their hand and others not, that would be a big deal, right?
I'm not going to do that big question you're asking them.
And when you saw them raise their hand, when you weren't sure what they were talking about, so they raised their hand. Did you happen to count how many were raising their hands?
No, I wasn't paying that much.
Do you ever remember telling me that the vote was 6-6?
I don't remember exactly saying.
What exactly do you remember saying?
I remember I had multiple conversations with you about the case. A couple were in my office. I remember you watched it. So the evidence I had was giving me advice on how to handle the case. I vaguely remember we might have had a conversation. I was walking on the elevator, you were telling me how it's going. I don't remember exactly what I said. If you're implying based on the last hearing that I gave you some sort of mouse, it was not because I was listening to anything. You've done many trials yourself, you know, you kind of ask the bailiff, hey, what do you think is going on? Oh, I think this way, oh, then maybe this way. That if I even gave that information, it would have been from one of the bailiffs who just was guessing about what the situation is. So I did not hear anything, I was not taking notes, I did not count, I had no idea how to.
I appreciate the time. You
Your
would
Honor,
agree?
I have to continue sidebar by Mr. Shansi.
You would agree with me that I do remember having a conversation with him about the jury.
Your Honor, again, this is the basis of one of the arguments in the motion, is that this has already been addressed. Spend some time on this question.
I'm
Please
done.
have the transcript.
I'm about done with this, so you can ask it one more time. Then we're gonna-
You remember having a conversation with me about how the jury split, 6-3, and then later 9-3.
I do not remember the exact details of our conversation. That's it.
But we did have a conversation.
Ask the Mr. Very briefly, Judge. Fair to say you did not control the monitor in the court manager's office. And is it fair to say you did not control any audio that might be reflected on that monitor? And is it fair to say that you were unaware of any provisions within the Code of Criminal Procedure related to jury recording or broadcasting? Is that fair?
That is correct.
And as an attorney in the DA's office, might you at that time, Mr. Finzer, have relied on either the judge or an appellate chief to have more knowledge with regard to jury deliberations?
That would be correct.
And is it fair that you were not consistently in the court manager's office during the Derek Potter jury deliberations?
That would be correct.
At times, were you completely away in your office on the second floor?
Correct.
With the courtroom being on what floor?
The ninth floor.
And so with regard to any broadcast or recording of the jury deliberations, is it fair that you made no decisions with regard to those events?
That would be correct.
And to your knowledge, had this ever happened before?
My knowledge is any circumstances. that we have.
Nothing further, Judge.
Recall either side. No. Just your excuse, thank you. Yes, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Yes, Your Honor, the court,
They're getting him right now. Here.
Okay, it's Quinn, so you may proceed.
Can you state your name?
Name is Santiago Solis, but I go by Jimmy.
Please. I'm gonna ask a few questions. Historically, you were the court manager for Judge Klein. Is that correct?
2022.
And part of that, or subsequent to that, you become the bailiff. So let's go to your service as court manager. When you were court manager, did it come up that there was an issue about the recording of events in the courtroom on the DVR? Well, that y'all knew it had the capacity to record.
Yes.
Okay, so back in 2020, I think you said, is that right? You knew as court manager that camera that's located in the courtroom recorded events in the courtroom, and that monitor was located in the courtroom.
Correct.
And so let's talk about when COVID came, because then we had to kind of change the way the trials were done, right?
Correct.
So at that time, when you started having trials during COVID, did the judge, you, or anyone say anything about the jury deliberating in the courtroom, their jury deliberation being recorded?
I did not.
Okay. And did Judge Klein ever bring it up?
So,
And did Judge Klein ever ask you to get someone in there, an expert or IT or anyone at the county to assist to disable that portion? And as far as the jury deliberations, during the Derek Pettit trial, which is the murder trial in November of 2021, would I be correct to say that the jury deliberations were displayed on the screen in red? You can see that.
on screen behind me.
But there was no audio. Whenever you walked in, you couldn't hear it, but you could see it, right? And during the jury deliberations in those 2 days, was that screen ever turned on? How often would you go into Ray's office and out of his office? Quite often?
Quite often because I stayed in my office because I had to hear them out.
Right.
And during COVID, I had to check the hallways to make sure no one's like. And I popped in sometimes I needed to, but for the most part.
Did you see the defense lawyers and the state's attorneys in the superintendent's office while the jury deliberated?
They were.
And for how long would they be in there? Like 1 minute or 15 minutes? How long would they sit around?
That was I expect them. I'd be guessing, I mean, I can't keep track.
No, I know you didn't, but would sometimes lawyers kind of camp out or wait on a verdict, right?
Right.
Okay. So were these lawyers kind of hanging around waiting on the verdict?
I'm sure.
And Ms. Muniz was there pretty much the whole time. Do you agree with that?
I would see her in Ray's office and I see her in the library. I wouldn't say it all the time.
And we would
I
say,
would see her up and down the hallway, she would talk to me.
so when you say the library, you mean the room right next to Ray's office?
Correct.
And so when she's in that room, did you ever see all 4 of the lawyers, 2 prosecutors and the 2 defense lawyers in Ray's office. And when I'm talking about those times, that was during jury deliberations, correct? And the screen was still displaying what was being broadcasted out of the courtroom, correct? And were you in there whenever they discussed anything about the jury or watching the jury or anything like that? When you went in there, were they watching the jury? What did you see? What were they doing?
I wouldn't there to discuss nothing.
Do you remember a conversation on November 15th before Hernandez arrived with a motion to continue the punishment phase of the trial? We had a conversation with Ms. Muniz in the courtroom when no one else was present. Yeah, I'm right, Coach. I want to show you the video taken. The PPR that morning, November 15th, the video number. Come on, slide. So the video number is 2021 11 15 100141. This is the video, and I'm going to start it. The total cut is 11 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm going to start about 7:33. Can you tell me at 7:33 who's in the picture? And those are the 2 defense lawyers, right? Correct. And no one else is in the room, right? Correct. And that's the way the jury was set up for the murder trial, correct? Correct. So the witnesses, the jurors would sit in the back close to the jury doors, the 2 big doors, right? Correct. Okay, so now I'm going to play them. Stop it. Audio. I did audio. I did video. So that kind of refresh your recollection of that morning?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, so when those two defense lawyers are sitting there waiting for the court to start, Mr. Piha, Ms. Muniz, they're sitting at their table and you walk into the courtroom, correct? No one else is there, correct?
Correct.
And in the video and in the audio, you have a discussion with them. And basically what you're saying is you knew this was going to come up because you had this problem about a year ago, right? Year and a half.
I think that's what I said.
And in other words, you knew, everybody knew that these events that happen in the courtroom are recorded, correct?
Correct.
And also, Ms. Muniz responded, she didn't know what the big deal was because the state and them and her, the defense lawyers, were watching the jurors. And they asked Doug Norman, and Doug Norman said it's okay so long as it's on mute, correct?
That's what he said.
That's what Ms. Muniz said. Right?
Yes.
And so if they were watching it and it was on mute, they're talking about watching the jury deliberate in the court coordinator's office, correct? Right. So did anyone take any precautions before the jury trial started not to have the deliberation broadcasted, not to have? Who's in charge of the court? Judge, or you, or?
The judge or the court manager.
Did you ever hear any audio from the jury deliberation? Do you remember a discussion in the jury room with the judge as to what you think the verdict would be? Do you recall making a statement that the lady needs to convince the guy, convince him, referring to the other two? Did the judge ever complain about the defense lawyers, or anybody else that viewing the jury deliberations? And did the judge ever disclose to anyone subsequent lawyers that handled the fact that so if the judge would say there was a mistake or a faulty problem with the equipment, you would agree with me it wasn't faulty. But it wasn't exactly what it's supposed to be for. And did you have any conversations with the judge as to why she allowed people to watch the jury deliberation?
I didn't.
You know anyone that did?
I didn't.
Did anyone object to the same thing about allowing the jury deliberations?
Judge recall the son.
What would you say? Come on.
Excuse your, yes, sir, your excuse on the Spain, excuse on the real thing.
Lisa Brooks, one?
So may we take just 2 minutes, I can motion to my.
I'll tell you what, let's take 10 minutes and we'll probably go to 12:30 and then take lunch. So 10 minutes now and then 12:30. We're breaking at 12:30. So excuse me earlier.
Do you guys want to go eat? You want to go eat? Or you want to sit? You want to eat? Okay. Well. If they don't want to, I'm sure they're up to the edge of their seat. Wondering what the heck is going on. How are you? It's good to see you.
I think it's okay. Okay, thank you.
Legal assistant, so I had gone COVID for 7 days, so I didn't have it, so I thought, well.
You didn't have anything else to do?
Well, I can't get anything out. I only got 4 cases.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You have a guest house.
I did.
I was talking to Linda Shower, and I said, okay, look, I'm selling my house, and I'm finding somebody with a guest house.
I do, but it's Jack's, and I use it for, family stuff. I don't have anything else to do. The world's sick.
Oh, no.
Yes, 7
I know,
days.
Gabina's right.
You gotta sneak 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ain't gonna else to do. All right,
If
buddy.
you
See
don't want
you.
to be here, you don't have to. No. You want to talk about it?
All right.
Not today, probably not till next week. I'm backed up. Don't you want to eat?
Well, no, okay, but for right now. Yeah, that, whoever wants to come back, at 1:30, so whoever wants to come back, at 1:30, can come back.
Okay, that's
Yep.
good. Hmm?
Good.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
what-
we
that's
don't-
what I-
that's all.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
That's the only. Oh, all right, I'll phone it in, okay.
Man, you're looking good.
Right, go.
You don't see his winning the fight. He's winning the fight.
I'm back.
Good deal.
Just been up back slow.
Oh, yeah, you gotta take it easy.
I still don't have any sight on that side. But I'm gonna try to.
Oh, yeah. Get back.
Okay.
Really?
Sure, all right.
Really good.
Cocktail Springs is one of my favorite places.
Yeah, I've got a little place there, number 8, this little townhouse, and my son just graduated from Tech. His grandmother's Jerry Watts. So, but anyway, I just wanted to.
No, Senator, I just recommended her for speaking engagement to not hold it against her.
Okay, well, she's good. She's not as good as Michael, but she's good.
This is a, no, I don't wish this on anybody, but they asked me to do it. I'm in trial, like I was talking about on the scaffold case, and next week, they need somebody to talk to the worst.
Yeah. And Terry was telling me you were appointed by Judge Clemens and Governor Brown. I'm excused the governor. I was John Hill's campaign manager for 40 counties. And, we go golf and then we just went to sleep. I got to know the governor later. Really liked him.
He was a great guy. I mean, I had to wait on my appointment because he was on African safari.
Well, I practice exclusively family law, so I just wanted to come up and say hello.
Somebody's got to do it. You better than me.
Yeah, well, thank you. Richard Arsinger is one of my very best friends. We talk probably once a month.
Yeah, I got the four singers got that Grant Weston divorce up there in Kent County. They had some issue that Deb didn't want to hear, so I heard a little piece of that. That's a massive case up there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Good to see you.
Good
Thanks
to
for
meet
saying hi.
you. Yes, nice to meet you.
Okay, we got everybody back. We can get going. I don't see a. You want to put anything? And we're gonna let the defendants in the case leave early with the consent of their attorneys and with your consent to go have lunch. Is that correct?
It is just.
Everybody agrees?
Yes, and also Mr. Villanueva they have the option of coming back to the courtroom or going back to, if he's at the annex, Mr. Villanueva has asked to be released to go back to the annex.
Is that right, Mr. Benoit? Yes, sir. Okay, well, you're excused then. Thank you.
Your Honor, the state has a motion for immunity for this person. We would ask the court to sign and grant that order of transactional immunity.
I'm sorry, name?
Alicia Brooks. Alicia Brooks, yes.
Okay, you want to review? Sir, you represent Ms. Brooks?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Thank you.
Same one?
Yes.
We're going to follow to the clerk. Thank you, sir.
Are the other councils staying up here or sitting back?
You're welcome to do it, or some of them are sitting there, some of them are standing by their client, whatever you want to do.
I'll sit over here. Thank you.
May I proceed?
Thank you. Would you state your name?
Alicia Brooks.
Ms. Kirk?
Do we have order in the court here momentarily, please? Or till 12:30?
My name is Terry Sheen. A few questions. Ask. You're a court reporter for Nueces County, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're a roving court reporter, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Which means you're not assigned to any court, you go to where needed, correct?
Correct.
And on the case in question, State versus Derek, you were part of the court reporter team that took down some of the jury notes and some of the testimony.
Correct.
Can you tell me what phase of the trial did you get involved?
I was involved in the entire trial.
Okay. And when you say that, would that be from jury selection all the way to the final?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during the trial, where would you keep your machine or dictation? Would that be at your office in 117th, or would you bring it over to 214?
I left it in the 214
Okay, where did you leave it in 214?
in the courtroom during the trial.
During the trial itself, did you ever have an opportunity to walk into the court coordinator's office?
I don't remember specifically going in there during that time.
What time, or what period of the trial do you remember walking into the court coordinator's office?
I don't remember any specific time walking in there.
Did you ever take a transcript of a jury note?
Yes, sir.
And that would be the first jury note, do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And where was that jury note taken?
In the judge's chambers.
Okay. Do you remember who was present when you took that jury note?
The judge, me, Holt Feimster, Victoria Muniz, George Peacock. And that's all that I remember.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to give you a copy of the transcript you provided us, and maybe this will refresh your memory. Which one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who else was in there? Do you remember Michael Winnie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and also going to the last page. Do you remember page number 6, the bailiff also being there, or did he come in at the end?
I think he came in at the end.
Okay, fair enough. And when you went to take this jury note, who else was, well, how did you get into the judge's chamber?
I walked through the court manager's office.
And when you walked to the court manager's office, did you see the display of the deliberations on the screen?
I don't believe I did it that.
Did you ever see the jury deliberations being displayed in the court coordinator's office?
Yes.
Tell the judge when that was and under what circumstances.
Sometimes whenever we're waiting for the jury to deliberate, everyone goes into the court manager's office and talks about stories or whatever that they've had on the wait. And I remember seeing it on during that time.
Can you estimate how many times you saw it being displayed?
I cannot.
And when you said everybody goes in there, you're talking about all the defense lawyers and the prosecutors going in there.
I couldn't specifically say who was in there, but that's typically who goes in there in previous trials.
And did the judge ever come out while you were there?
I believe she was in there at some point.
And during the points that she was in the court office, and you were there also, was the jury deliberations still being displayed on the monitor?
I don't remember specifically.
Do you remember any discussions or comments by the judge asking that the monitor be turned off or the display of the jury deliberations be stopped?
No.
Did anyone around you, when you saw it, ever indicate that it was improper and that it should stop?
I don't remember.
But do you remember anyone voicing their opinion about that?
No, sir.
And as far as the judges, as far as the judge's presence in the court coordinator's office, do you remember how many times you saw her in there?
No, sir.
During the trial itself, did you ever go into the court coordinator's office and see the display of what was occurring in the courtroom?
I don't remember specifically.
How long have you been a court reporter?
6 years.
During the 6 years being a court reporter, have you ever had the opportunity to view a jury delivery?
No, sir.
This would be the first time that's ever occurred.
Yes, sir.
And would you agree with me that it was highly unusual to see that?
Yes, sir.
And you're not in control of the situation, right?
No, sir.
Who's in control of that situation?
The court manager. Or the judge.
Did you tell anyone else your concerns about viewing the jury deliberations?
No, sir.
And I want to make sure when you saw the jury deliberations, there was no sound. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank
May I
Question.
briefly, Your Honor?
Yes.
At any point were you made aware of the jury voting?
No.
And did you ever hear any discussions by either the state's attorneys or the defense attorneys or any member of the judge's staff or the judge about what the jury was in terms of their vote?
I do not remember.
Did you stay in your office a lot?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further, Judge.
Anything on recall? She's excused? Yes.
Yes, Judge, please.
You're excused from the rule and from the subpoena. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria, you need-
Let's see. Mary Lee Roberts on the witness list.
I can put her on there, but the last time I saw her was at HEP. She was in the wine section.
My guess is she's enjoying retirement.
She's in retirement. I see her on HEP on Roberts.
She popped up as a witness on the last Williams trial.
Oh, really?
Your Honor, the state has a request for transactional immunity with regard to this witness as well. We would request the court please grant to sign that order.
Okay, and, you want to come up with,
Yes.
what, the name, I apologize?
Victoria Muniz, M-U-N-I-Z.
Okay, there's a written order granting transactional immunity. Welcome to review.
I've had an opportunity.
Okay, we'll take one to stand. Thank you.
Your Honor, I did have my motion for protective order that I would like to argue.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm not sure if the court did receive a copy of this motion with the attached exhibits. I do have a hard copy for the.
No, I
court's
have it there.
consideration. I'm sorry.
I'm both postal marked paper.
I as well, Your Honor. Your Honor, in my motion for protective order, I am moving the court to issue a protective order restraining the defense attorneys from calling me as a witness in this matter. Background on the case, I am a licensed practicing attorney in the state of Texas. I was appointed as trial counsel for Derek Bada, which is at the heart of the defense's motion regarding allegations that were made regarding the jury deliberations being watched by multiple people. However, at that time that they are alleging in their motion, I was trial counsel. There are certain things that are privileged that I believe that are going to be privileged information between attorney-client. I also was in the process of preparing for a punishment hearing that we were anticipating. So all of my mental impressions, opinions, strategies that I was experiencing or thinking about were in preparation for that. Ultimately, the state ended up recusing themselves in that matter, referring to themselves as witnesses in the matter, which is a cause of concern because the first assistant filed a motion to recuse in that hearing, stating that there were multiple witnesses that were assistant DAs, said that they didn't want to have an appearance of impropriety, so that a prosecutor pro tem should be appointed. In this case, there is a transcript that has been admitted that has testimony from the first assistant who is handling this matter. There is also testimony that is probably anticipated, or at least one witness from the district attorney's office that is under subpoena. So I don't understand why the state would not recuse themselves from this matter. And so I feel that that is part of my argument that this is done for purposes of harassment as well. Additionally, I understand that they have provided the Fifth Amendment. I have provided the Fifth Amendment as one of my arguments as to not testify in this matter. However, they have provided the immunity. So it's a moot issue at this point. I would like to point to the fact that I feel that this is harassment. I was provided with a subpoena at my office. I was not provided a phone call, any type of professional courtesy. The first time I was subpoenaed for this matter, Mr. Shamsi texted me. I provided him with my email address, spoke to his process server. We made arrangements for it to happen. They appeared at my office, served me. I had a client in the office. It was very unprofessional. The first time around, Shamsi had provided the affidavit for me to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege. However, months later, he went on a radio podcast complaining about witnesses who were asserting their Fifth Amendment right, even though he provided us with the opportunity to do that. It seems a little disingenuous that he would offer that to some of the witnesses and then complain of it later in public. So that goes to the fact that I do feel that it is for purposes of harassment. Additionally, It is pretty obvious that the district attorney's office is in favor of this motion. I'm not sure if that is because the person who started the complaint against Judge Klein is the person who is also representing the state in this matter. And again, that just goes to an appearance of impropriety, that this is not for the pursuit of justice, it is for harassment purposes. Lastly, the undue burden. I have been on vacation this week. There is a vacation letter that's on file. I've had to spend most of my morning here waiting. And I am expected to leave town immediately after lunch to make that vacation. And so for all those reasons, I don't think that I should be compelled to testify in this matter, but most importantly, my work product and my attorney-client privilege.
Okay, response. I'm going to ask her about her observation of the observing the jury delivery and the video that we've discussed on another witness. And I'm not asking her about anything that she said to her client or any suggestion of such. The reason why they were given the Fifth Amendment and the documents is I did all the work for the lawyers in the last trial. And out of courtesy, I said, I don't want you to take the stand. I don't want to embarrass you. Execute and be done with it. Because they were all taking the Fifth, and they thought everybody would, but one person didn't. That was Doug Norman. He's the one that gave me the key to what happened. And then subsequently, I know she doesn't know, but after the court allowed me to go and get the hard drive DVD that is possessed by Judge Klein, is when all the other evidence came up that I'm going to ask her about today. Well, I'm going to grant her protective order to the extent that she is not going to be allowed to testify anything about work product, attorney-client privilege. It would be just observations of matters relevant to the recusal of the judge that you're seeking. And remember, that's all I'm here on is the recusal of the judge. The state, in regard to your statement, really has, as far as this hearing, they are not a party. But the rule says that anybody can participate and ask questions if they feel they have relevant information to impart. But they are not a party, as far as I'm concerned, in this matter.
Your Honor, also in response to counsel's statement about this video that came up, if there is something on video, I just saw earlier this morning that there was an agreed stipulation of facts that was filed regarding a conversation that took place between myself, my co-counsel, and perhaps the bailiff. If I'm going to be asked questions about that, it does feel that it is harassment because they have the video, and to my knowledge, it appears that they also have the audio.
Well, we'll see what they ask about. But I'm trying to get you on your vacation, so we'll get you out of here as quick as possible. If you'll take the witness stand.
Thank you.
Proceed. Thank you. Would you state your name?
Victoria Muniz?
Ms. Muniz, Director, you're a lawyer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were the lawyer for Derek Pilot in the murder trial that was held in November 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to go straight to the issue in the jury deliberations, which I'm going to represent you was on November 9th in the afternoon, November 10th, 2021. Did you have the opportunity to go to the court coordinator's office?
On which date?
On both days.
I believe I did.
And when you were in the court coordinator's office, was the jury deliberations being shown or displayed on a monitor?
On which monitor?
On any of the three monitors that were
I believe so.
there? And did you view the jury deliberations on that monitor?
I don't recall.
Do you recall if you reviewed or if you viewed the jury deliberations on the monitor on November 10th, 2021?
I do not recall.
Do you recall anyone else being in the room with you when the jury deliberations were being displayed in the court coordinator's office?
I remember other individuals being present. Who, at what time, I do not recall.
Let's go to, do you remember having the state's attorneys, Hope Feimster, Michael Winnie, and Doug Norman being present? at the time that the display of the jury deliberations were made?
I recall them being around. I can't recall if they were present at the same time or at different times or what date.
Did you personally view the jury deliberate on the screen? Display screen?
I do not recall if that was something I paid attention to.
Did you recall having a discussion with Doug Norman about watching the jury deliberate and it was okay so long as it was muted? Remember?
I recall Doug Norman appearing one afternoon. He may have made those comments, but I do not recall what date that was.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Denise, I'm going to show you a video and audio recording that was done and taken by the same DVR recording device that recorded the jury deliberations. This is on November 15th, the Monday, right before the judge is going to hear the state's motion for continuance, okay? And I'm going to show you that I think it was around 8:15, 8:20 in the morning. You can see the clock on the screen and ask on this video, which is video ending 141, and the time of the video is 11 minutes and 22 seconds. At the juncture of 7 minutes and 16 seconds, who's in that video? Who appears in that video?
I can't see from this angle. I can't see anybody's faces.
Let me let it run a little bit. Who's at the table right there?
It appears to be, okay, I can see my face and as well as Mr. Peahoff.
Okay. No one else is in the room at 7:27, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to ask that you watch this video for a few minutes and I'll stop it where it ends, okay?
May I say something? Your Honor, I believe this should fall under the guise of work product because I'm speaking to my co-counsel. There doesn't appear to be anybody in the room.
Your audio?
I believe Mr. Shamsi is referring to me listening to audio.
Sure, let me do this. If she has that concern, let me do this.
You also stand her objection to any conversation.
Judge, I'm going to move to at 7:36 to someone else enter the room.
It appears that somebody else is on the screen.
Is that the bailiff?
I can't tell from that angle.
Let's let it play a little bit. Is that the bailiff?
I can't see his face.
Is that the bailiff?
I believe it is.
Sure. So now we're at 7:42. So from 7:27 to 7:42, someone's in the room with you, right?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go back to 7:28, and I'm going to play this, and I'm going to ask you to pay close attention to the conversation you have with the bailiff, okay? Okay, so I'm stopping it at 8:44. Now, after viewing that, would you agree with me that you indicated to the bailiff that Doug Norman was in the room with you? And then y'all were watching the video and he said it was okay so long as it was muted, correct?
No, I don't believe anybody said that they were watching the video that I was watching.
Okay, young man. So your position is Doug Norman is in the room and you have a conversation with him about if something is muted, right?
I believe that's what the video
Right.
indicates.
Right. And so what would be muted that y'all would be discussing? Would that be the jury deliberating?
I can't speculate to that.
Right. But you were, don't have to speculate, when you were in the room talking to Doug Norman and you asked him and you had the discussion about something being muted, what were y'all talking about?
I believe I answered the question when I said I could not speculate to the response.
I'm not asking speculate. I'm going to ask, in your mind, what do you think you were thinking about when Doug Norman told you it's okay if it's muted?
Your Honor, I'd like to assert my work product privilege as well as my objection to the harassment that he is asking me questions that is on video. They have this evidence, they can use it as they see fit. I don't see why I need to answer the questions.
Not work
Well,
product.
explain to me what's work product, I'll overrule the other objection if you could sustain the work product.
Your Honor, at the time that jury deliberations were going on, I was still in the process of anticipating the punishment hearing in this case. So anything that I was thinking about, anything that I was observing, my mental processes, any type of strategy that I was considering is something that I was using for the purposes of my client and the punishment hearing.
I don't think it's work product. You can answer if you know, if you don't, just simply say you don't know the answer, but I don't see it falls into work product. So I'll overrule that objection. Go ahead.
If you could ask the question again.
In your mind, what were you thinking about Doug Norman was referring to when he stated it's okay if it's muted?
And excuse me, Doug Norman is not a lawyer in the case.
He is a lawyer and he testified judge. He's an
In
assistant.
this case that she is trying at that time.
Yes.
Yes, he showed up at that time. He was an appellate lawyer.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm getting confused too.
Okay. Is this a lawyer on your trial team, Mr. Norman?
No,
Yes.
it's a
He's a
state's lawyer.
state's attorney.
State's lawyer.
Okay, there's my, all right.
He's
I just want there.
He's a state's attorney. He was there for appellate reasons. So he was coming in and out of the courtroom. and
Okay,
the
but not on your
proceedings.
trial team. He was not on part of your trial. team.
No,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure on the work product issue. Go ahead.
I do not recall.
You don't recall what you were thinking about when he addressed the issue about it having to be muted. So when you said that here that they all knew about it Tuesday, the viewing, or Wednesday, the viewing of it, what were they viewing that they knew about?
I believe what I was referencing was the fact that I had filed a motion in opposition to the state's motion to recuse Judge Klein. And the argument that I made is that by their motion, they are stating that their own assistant district attorneys were present watching. Those were their allegations. By that argument, what I meant was they had waived that argument because 6 days had passed. I believe that is in my motion.
So let's just make sure I understand this. You're not sure what Doug Norman was talking about when he said it's okay if it's muted, right? You didn't know what he was talking about.
That was my answer.
Right. And so did you follow up and say, what are you talking about? What muted what? Was there any other conversation?
Not that I recall.
That's all the person had.
So,
Nothing from the state.
okay, is she excused to go on vacation? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Enjoy.
I will try.
You have one you can do in 15 minutes? No.
I'm sorry. Let me see who else here. Valerie. Valerie signs, so I can do it. She's cool.
Valerie signs, please.
Next.
I represent the Senate.
I have the order here, if you want to do it.
I would like to review that. I didn't know if there are individual orders.
There's a motion, but they're not individual motions.
Understood.
I'm so used to sitting in the court reporters.
We call him back up. You talk to your planner.
We've already discussed it. I was just confirming when I.
Okay, so you never see. State your name.
Valerie Signs?
Signs your court reporter for the 2014 district court.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how long have you been Judge Client's court reporter?
For 5 years.
So let's talk about that a little bit. I think that you were the court reporter on part of the case, of the murder case on Derek Otta. Is that correct?
No.
You weren't there for that trial?
And I was there, but I was working in my office because I was getting ready to go on maternity leave. So another court reporter filled in for me.
And who was that other court reporter?
Alicia Brooks.
So let's talk about your position as court reporter there. Would I be correct that in the year 2021, was kind of a COVID year, so things were a little bit different, right?
Yes.
And during that 2021, did the court have a monitor camera located in the courtroom that broadcasted what was happening into the court coordinator's office? It was displayed. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, there's a monitor in the court manager's office.
And you can see it. It isn't hidden from anyone. It's an open view. Correct?
Yes.
And so I'm going to go straight to this case. During the jury deliberations, did you ever have a chance to go into the court coordinator's office and view the jury deliberations?
Myself, no. Okay. I was in my office working.
Okay. Did you ever hear anybody, any of the other lawyers going into the judge's, the court coordinator's office to view the jury deliberations?
No.
Do you know anything about the jury being viewed by anyone?
I do not.
Oh.
No questions.
Okay, ma'am, you're excused. Not subject to recall. You're excused from the rule and the subpoena. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and break. I've got 12:15, so let's be back at 1:15 and resume.